Hello, fellow travelers. This is Veronica from Human Design Journey with the weekly transit. And here it is. So the sun entered yesterday, the 24th gate, the gate of return, the gate of rationalization. And the earth entered the 44th gate. We also have the channel of maturation, the 4253. So let's start with the channel of maturation, 4253. It's one of the three format channels. It links the sacral center through the 42, the gate of increase, the gate of maturation. It's the channel of maturation, and it's the gate of endings. To the 53, the gate of development in the root center, the gate of beginnings. This is one of the format energies, and it is an abstract sensing format energy. It's about going from inexperience to experience. It's the way of experience. And it is to just live, to live each experience fully. Go straight through the experience, and when it's over, then you can turn around and look back. Maturation can happen through any single experience. It doesn't require repeats like the logical process. This is a generator channel, one of response, and here the 5342, when it responds from the beginning through the experience and to the completion. How long will that take? Anywhere from a few seconds to several years, depends on the experience. And consequently, it's important for people who have this channel, but right now for the situation, to be very clear in the response, because you can find yourself caught in extended projects that might actually not be correct, and you will lose interest over time. A right response leads to the right experience and over the right time frame. And usually those cycles are 7-year cycles. So if you get into the wrong cycle, into the wrong timing, that can be a problem. So let's look at the specific gates. We have the sun. In the 24th gate, the gate of return, the gate of rationalization. It's about it's an individual process, so it's the return is about conceptualizing individual processes and questions. It gives answers to those, rationalizing those questions. And it's the role of the individuality is to find a way to communicate the unique awareness to the collective mind, to the others, so that it's understood. And with the 4323, the channel of the freak, genius to freak, if you don't choose the right timing, and if you don't have the right words, if you don't have speaker skills, you are not going to be taken as genius. You're going to be taken as a freak. Usually it's a lack of communication skills rather than the idea itself. And it's the same process here. Here we have the rationalization. Before it's so it's a potential before we come to the possibility for expression. So it's unique awareness, and you have to find a way to communicate it. Otherwise, it stays misunderstood. And if not shared on the other way, and the individuality has problems with sharing usually because they're afraid they're not going to be received well or understood, etc. Actually, a lot of things get lost, a lot of breakthroughs, insights are not shared and they're lost forever. So if you have their individual energy, it's something to know that it's just sometimes you have to be bold and just be you. Just be you. Strategy and authority. Don't be shy. The world being rationalized is something that actually drives, in a way, the human progress and search and knowing. But here the search can become overly rationalized to such an extent that the natural and spontaneous process of transformation and renewal can pressure us, because it's a pressure above to try to rationalize, overthink stuff, and ponder until the energy is transformed into a rational form. And in the symmetry of this circuit, there are three gates of awareness potential: the 28th, the risk taker; the 55th, and they're all now defined, dormant actually, the gate of half empty and half full cup, abundance, the design to rationalize. The design to rationalize is a risk and a test of the spirit. There is no proof, logical, collective, or experience, abstract, collective. There is only the potential that what has been rationalized may be a true knowing or not. And this is grounded in the 44th gate, which is the gate of coming to meet, the gate of alertness. It's in the spleen center. It's also the fear of the past, or more like that the past will catch up with you. It's the harmonic to the coming to meet, right? Part of the channel of surrender. So here, the success of any interaction is based on the absence of any preconditions. So here we have it's the channel of the entrepreneurship, the enterprise, a design of a transmitter. So here it's the channel of surrender is capitalist. It's instinct and memory to transmit one's ego to the tribe. This is a public channel. It's a gate specifically of memory, instinctive memory, not one that can be called toward, but a memory that operates in the now and is cued by patterns in experience. And the alertness of this gate is the alertness to patterns. The possibilities of this instinctive memory and its sharpness have no direct access to expression through the throat. It's a minor, a mirror of the 37th gate here, that offers social loyalty and access to the tribal refrigerator in return for the promise of the benefits from the ego willpower. And the 44th gate actually offers individual loyalty and access to the memory resources in return for the ego strength as to put down its fears from 26. So coming to meet is the gate of the fear of the past, and it's part of the immune system. We have the white cells here. This is where we built our immune system. This is the center of well-being. So we have two awareness centers. We have the 24th is in the ajna, so it's about mental anxiety and at the same time fears, physical fears, fear of the past. This is what's going on in the air right now. Let's look at the specific lines. So yesterday, the first line, the sin of omission, transformation that requires retrogressive periods before renewal can take place. The will to triumph, and in this case, the faith that ends justifies the means. Inspiration that demands a reassessment of past thinking before a rational concept can be established. Today, the energy is different. The recognition, the second line. So we don't have retrospection anymore. It's about being natural. The proper and spontaneous adaptation to new forms, the potential gift to conceptualizing spontaneously. Or the vanity to see transformation as a personal achievement rather than a socially supported or natural phenomena. The mental vanity that the gift of conceptualizing spontaneously can produce. So we have this gate that is constantly looking for something, for the unknowable or the knowable. And naturally, it can recognize and spontaneously conceptualize or have the vanity that this conceptualizing can produce, and keep rationalizing until you go crazy. That's not self here. The third line, the addict tomorrow, the powerful attraction of regressive forms, the ultimate, though difficult triumph over regression, the difficult but possible task of overcoming irrationality. Addiction and regression legitimized to success, irrationality maintained and legitimized by success. So success is in the third line, the addict. But success is also part. So this is a projector channel, but this is also a projector channel. And here we also talk about success. Hence, you have to be invited. And we have generator energy today. And people will wait to respond. There'll be a lot of energy. They will not wait for the invitation. The fourth line, the hermit, transformation that can only take place in isolation. You need aloofness, aloneness, so that you can deal with the fatigue from maintaining the network. Withdrawing until the possibility shows up. The discipline and focus that assures renewal. Aloneness enriches the potential for rational thought. And the other side, the tendency in isolation to live in a fantasy world. Aloneness encourages the potential of illusion or delusion. So both are possible. That's why we always say strategy and authority, because this is in the air, it's conditioning. It might give you the right spin at the right moment, but most of the time it will be actually distracting. And it's up to your strategy and authority, inner authority, to see what's for you and what's not. So this transit field that I'm doing, it's just things you can watch in the media and in the socials and around you and know what's going on. So not to get caught in those patterns. So those are not things you have to live through, guys. It's about what's in the air. And what's the weather? You don't have to get wet. You don't have to get burned. You just need to know it's not you. The courage to admit the mistakes of the past, confession, the fifth line, the projection field, the practical value of starting with the clean state symbolized by the new moon, rational correction that opens the way to new possibilities. Or the other side, the Martian tendency to try to minimize past mistakes through rationalization. Immaturity here we have turning confession into justification, irrational justification of past mistakes. And the last will be the sixth line, the gift horse. I love this one. The possibility of being deaf when opportunity knocks. The conscious participation in a process that prepares one for easy identification of opportunity. Identification focus with the rational thought process. And the other side, innate suspicion, which leads inevitably to lost opportunities. Often irrational suspicion that distorts the focus and can lead to missed opportunities. For me, this line shows that the suspicion and the paranoia which this can bear is not only a fifth line process, it's the left angle process as well. Because there is always this expectation towards the left angle somehow to be transpersonal, you know, to that's their drive from inside, but that's also the expectation from the outside. So remember, this is living out your purpose. Your profile is your purpose. So we have here a little bit the paranoia, and it comes from the expectation for the sixth line role model, to be a role model. Let's look at the Earth, the 44th gate, coming to meet, the gate of alertness. The success of any interaction is based on the absence of any preconditions. Yesterday, conditions, first line, introspection, investigation, the establishment of frameworks as the result of interaction. So investigation of well-being and what's going to be successful. A master of the collective that can establish restrictive conditions for inferior components and with the ability to enforce them, an alertness to patterns that can lead to mastery of the collective. And the other side, an attractive nature that will interact with inferior forces and will fail to apply restrictions, resulting in a risk to continued harmony, the failure of the instinct out of the need of harmony. And just not listening to the instincts, but following if something looks harmonic, which can, you see, it can get you in trouble. It's a projector channel. It needs to be invited. Second line today, management. The development and management of a proper collective structure which restricts inferior elements by creating cooperative modes that integrates these forces with progressive and superior forces. The possibility that alertness to patterns will result in management capability. And remember that fear of the past, but also attunement to the well-being. And the other side, a tendency in management to concentrate exclusively on goals, ignoring inferior elements, which leads inevitably to quantitative success and qualitative failure. The instinctive memory for the patterns that bypasses the development of managerial moon changed capability, moon changed line, the fifth line, overreach. Yeah. Those are a little bit heretical months since we have the 60th and the 36th gates in the fifth lines. So if we look at yeah, maybe okay, so we're in the second line. And it just changed on the 19th of April, Neptune to the 5th line of the 36th gate. So it's the underground. It was in the 4th line. The treachery line, and here it's the underground, the perfected survival regardless of conditions, immunity to crisis, both generator and survivor. And the other side, the nervousness that can lead to self-betrayal, self-betraying nervousness in times of crisis. We don't know what this is exactly. We're going to find out after approximately 2 years. So let's see, the 5th line will stay there. It will become retrograde in May, and then it will go to the 4th line again in June, beginning of June. So for 1 month, theoretical times, Pluto, but we don't know exactly what's going on. And right now we have also Neptune here. So Neptune will stay until June. So the month of May will be very heretical in terms of crisis and in terms of the Pluto, the truth and transformation and psychology. Leadership, the awareness that the destruction of the old limitations simply creates new ones. This results in behavioral patterns that demonstrate this understanding through actions and enhances leadership potential. The energy to handle a lifelong process of dealing with limitations. And the other side, where the natural desire for expansion, when limitations are essential, creates confusion from the top. Expansive energy that cannot handle limitations. And transcendence is accepting, the gate of acceptance is the only way to actually transcend the limitations. So there's a lot of projections, a lot of expectations. We have the underground, the darkening of the light, the gate of crisis, perfected survival regardless of conditions, immunity to crisis, both generator and survivor. So in times of crisis, this possibility to be either nervous or successfully deal with them, and we will see that projection behind the veil of Neptune in the diluted water of which he's the king of Neptune, the ocean, god of the oceans. So let's go back to the 44th gate management capability, but the whole thing was that manipulation will be the 5th line. We'll see it in a second. Yeah, treacherous times. So let's go to the 3rd line. This will be tomorrow. Interference, the failure to interact based on circumstances. The ability to recognize the threat of interference and to prepare for its effects. The alertness and instinct to handle the ego of others. A diluted response to interference that gets stuck in projection and as a result is unrealistic in appraisal and error prone. The possibility that the instinct cannot handle the ego of others. And the past finally can catch up with you. Then honesty, the day after tomorrow, the refusal to engage in hypocritical interaction, indifference at its most logical and cutting, the indifference possible when guided by the instinctive memory. The sun in detriment, that's the other side, that in extreme situations, in case of self-sustainment, will expect assistance from forces it has totally rejected. Here, the honesty is the genuine need, the sacrifice of indifference for survival. The fifth line, we already saw. Sixth line, aloofness. That will be the end of the process. Intolerance and arrogance for lesser mortals. The awareness of patterns which can bluster the ego at the expense of the well-being of others. Be aware, because that's in the air. This is what you're going to experience. People around you and all of us could be like puppet on strings without total truth in that. Wanting to start things based on past success and assuredness, and on the other hand, nurturing it, trying to grow it. But if it doesn't grow, no need to push. A lot of depression can come here when there are no new things to start, which you should go through and be able to end. Yeah. And all of this is happening in the nodes, being in the 27 and 28. The nourishment, the gate of caring, the third line, greed, the obsession with having much more than one needs. The psychological manifestation and obsession and dependency on knowing what is hidden, the secret policeman, the power diverted into having more than one needs, whether sexually, mentally, or materially. And the other side, mundane and holy, without redeeming value, greed, a lust that inevitably cripples and addicts. The lust to power, get more than one needs. And the other, the south node, preponderance of the great, the gate of the game player, adventurism, the third line, unfounded risk-taking, a basic conservatism that even in the adventurous act is necessarily prudent, an intuitive caution in risk-taking in times of struggle. Here, a perverse manifestation of Jupiter's expansiveness, where risk-taking is rationalized and failure ensured. Intuitive rationalizing of risk-taking in times of struggle. And if this is the perspective and the environment in which we are, unfounded risk-taking, wanting to engage with something new, feeling restricted in your limitations, getting into crisis, looking for the right spirit, and actually being limited by it in the sixth line, selfishness, abundance, acquisition, obsession, that though alienating is still indirectly beneficial materially to others. The possibility of finding the spirit through materialism, and this is where we are restricted when we don't follow our strategy and authority, not knowing the unusual path, fixation, unable or unwilling to see the whole picture. The intellect becomes absorbed in constant rationalization, higher knowing that is extremely narrow in its receptivity. And the other side, the need for security may distort awareness to its ultimate perversion, destructiveness, the higher self-absorbed with the mundane and the need for security. As our unusualness and chaos and innovation, which also is for a long time here in the G center, second line. And the values are in the fifth line of gathering together, leadership, the gate of the gatherer. All gathering together must have a center and a focus, the intuitive intellect and gift for innovation that enhance the group effort and ensure continuity through respect of the center, the gift for expressing leadership on the material plane, a sense of right action that assumes a respect that may not as yet have been earned, the drive for leadership that may not have yet earned the right. Those are the values which we're going to be talking about, seeing the on the news. And what we're going to be talking about is the same as what the sun is in, rationalizing, trying to rationalize. But here we have the return, the gift horse, the possibility of being deaf when opportunity knocks. That's what we're going to be communicating about. Automatically wanting to say yes at this moment, the 29 gate, fifth line, the abysmal, the gate of perseverance. overreach, the tendency to bite off more than one can chew. This will very soon go. The moon. The sun exalted where the drive is in design and not ambition driven. The uncontrollable drive to say yes. Failed ambition, saying yes, overextending one's resources and failing to persevere. Hence, if those are the right things you say yes to, you can finish them and you can be successful where others fail. Or the opposite, you can fail where the others succeed. So here we have wanting to mature, wanting to finish things, to bring them to an end, but saying yes to more things based on past success. So this is the weather, my friends, and be aware, especially if you are a manifester, reflector, or a projector, that you might overwork yourself or just not know when enough is enough with anything. Get yourself into incorrect situations, which you have to go through the beginning, the middle, and the end of the process until you can get out of it. Remember, if you're a projector, the energy you say yes to is the energy you sign under to be its slave, to work for it. Being a projector, it's not about working, but at the end, we are on the planet work. So you end up giving your awareness, which is work. Be aware what you start and whether you follow your authority, whether you wait to be invited into things. No matter that you feel the energy to now start or finish things. If you're a manifestor, did you inform before you do things? Because right now you might feel the energy that you can just start things or finish things and you don't have to inform anybody. And if you're a reflector, do you overwork yourself trying to be out there and sustainably finish things from start to finish? And if you're a generator who has an open root center, are you in a hurry to get things done? Are you feeling this pressure? So anybody with an open root center, no matter the type, there is a lot of pressure right now. Pressure to start new things, pressure to finish them, get them done, take care of them so that they say yes to the things that might at the end transcend or not, or limit you. This is in the air, folks. That's all, folks. Strategy and authority is always your guiding light, your navigation system of new generation, your chat for whatever AI of your own personal. Use it, experiment, see if it's for you or not. This is Veronica from Human Design Journey, and I wish you rationalizing days of new insights and getting to know and to succeed and to meet the right forces for you that are on your geometry, on your fractal line. Bye for now.